The alien ship moved through the dark sky above Seoul. Nobody could see it. The ship had special technology that made it invisible. Inside the ship, Commander Threxus looked at the screens showing Earth below. He was not human. He was a Vorkath, a creature that looked like a giant insect with 4 eyes and hard black skin. Threxus clicked his mouth parts together. He was happy. Earth looked like an easy target. The humans were still primitive. They did not have the technology to fight back. At least that is what Threxus thought. The Vorkath had come to steal people from Earth. This was against the rules of the Galactic Council. Earth was protected. No alien species was allowed to visit Earth or take humans. But the Vorkath did not care about rules. They wanted to sell humans to other aliens. Young humans would bring a lot of money. The ship's computer found a target. A house outside the city. 2 warm bodies were in the backyard. Perfect for what they needed. Down on Earth, a boy named Deho was playing in his yard. He was 10 years old. He lived with his parents, who were scientists who studied animals. Deho was not alone. His best friend was with him. Her name was Jing Jing. Jing Jing was not a normal pet. She was a honey badger. 2 years ago, Deho's parents found her as a baby. Her mother was dead. They brought the baby honey badger home. Everyone told them honey badgers could not be pets. Honey badgers were too wild, too dangerous. But Jing Jing loved Deho from the first day. They became best friends. Deho was teaching Jing Jing new tricks. She was very smart. She could roll over, jump through hoops, and even open simple locks. Deho threw a ball and Jing Jing ran after it, making happy chirping sounds. Then the sky turned blue. A beam of light came down from nowhere. It wrapped around Deho and Jing Jing. Deho felt strange. The world seemed to melt away. He could not move. He could not scream. Next to him, he heard Jing Jing making worried sounds. Everything went white. Then Deho felt solid ground under his feet again. He opened his eyes. He was not in his backyard anymore. He was in a white room with strange lights. The walls were smooth and cold. Jing Jing was next to him, her fur standing up straight. She was in her fighting position. 3 creatures stood around them. They were huge, almost 7 feet tall. They had black shells like beetles and too many arms. Their eyes looked like the eyes of insects. These were the Vorkath. One of the aliens reached toward Deho with a long, jointed arm. That was a mistake. Jing Jing moved faster than lightning. She jumped at the alien and bit down hard on the joint between its shell pieces. The alien made a sound like metal being torn. Black blood sprayed everywhere. Honey badgers are famous on Earth for one thing. They never give up. They do not care if something is bigger than them. They do not care if something is stronger. They just fight until they win. Jing Jing attacked the second guard. Her claws were made for digging through hard ground and fighting off lions. The alien's armor meant nothing to her. Commander Threxus stepped back. All 4 of his eyes were wide open. He had hunted on dangerous planets before. He had seen big creatures that could kill with one hit. But he had never seen something so small fight so hard. This tiny Earth animal was destroying his guards. Deho found his voice. He called out to Jing Jing. She immediately ran back to him. She put herself between Deho and the aliens. Her teeth were showing. Blood dripped from her mouth, but it was not her blood. Threxus spoke into his communication device. He called for more guards. He told them to bring stun weapons. He also told them not to hurt the human child. The child was valuable. The animal was a problem, but they needed to capture it alive, too. More Vorkath guards arrived. They had weapons that shot electricity. These weapons could knock out large, dangerous animals from other planets. They tried to get close to Jing Jing. She attacked them immediately. The guards had special armor. The armor was made to stop energy weapons, but Jing Jing used teeth and claws, not energy. The armor did not help. 6 guards fought against 1 small animal. The animal won. 2 guards lost their eyes. 1 guard had an antenna torn off. All of them were bleeding. The Vorkath had never experienced anything like this. Finally, Threxus ordered them to use the neural dampening field. This was a special weapon used only in emergencies. It created an invisible force that stopped the brain from working properly. It was very powerful. They turned it on. Jing Jing felt the invisible force hit her. It made her dizzy. It made her weak. But she kept fighting. She kept trying to get to Deho. The aliens pulled them apart. Deho was screaming and crying. He reached for Jing Jing. She fought against the force field, trying to reach him. Threxus ordered his crew to put them in separate cells. They dragged Deho to one side of the ship. They put Jing Jing in a special cage on the other side. The cage was made of the strongest metal they had. Through the walls, Deho could hear Jing Jing. She was growling and scratching at the walls. Threxus looked at his wounded guards. He looked at the damage to his ship. All from one small Earth animal. He ordered his science team to study the creature. He needed to know what it was. What Threxus did not know was that Earth was being watched. The Vorkath ship had been detected the moment it entered Earth's space. 5,000 light-years away, a woman received an alert on her computer. Her name was Hana Kwan. She was an ambassador for Earth. But Earth was supposed to be a protected planet. No aliens should even know about Earth yet. Hana was one of only 200 humans who had made contact with aliens. The rest of Earth did not know aliens existed. Hana read the report. Her face became hard and angry. The Vorkath had taken a human child. They had taken his animal companion. This was not just against the rules. This was war. She watched the security video that her systems had recorded. She saw the blue beam take Deho and Jing Jing. She saw a little boy torn from his home. Then she watched what happened on the Vorkath ship. She watched Jing Jing fight. She watched the honey badger tear through trained alien soldiers like they were made of paper. Hana smiled, but it was not a happy smile. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They did not understand what they had just done. She called her assistant. She told him to contact Fleet Admiral Taeyang. She told him to call an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. She told him this was now a matter of war. Her assistant was confused. Earth was protected. Earth was not supposed to fight. Hana looked at him with cold eyes. She explained it simply. The Vorkath had just kidnapped a human child. They took him by force. They hurt him and scared him. In human culture, this meant war. The protection agreement was over. Earth would get its child back, and the galaxy would learn a very important lesson. She gave the Vorkath 12 hours to return Deho and Jing Jing safely. After 12 hours, the human military would come, and the Vorkath would learn why Earth never really needed protection in the first place. On the Vorkath ship, Threxus looked at the damage reports. One small animal had caused all this destruction. He read the science team's report on the creature. It was called a honey badger. It came from Earth. It was famous on Earth for being fearless and impossible to stop. Threxus felt worried for the first time. If this was just a normal Earth animal, what were the humans like? What had he just started? In his cell, Deho cried quietly. He was scared. He did not know where he was. He did not know what would happen to him. But he knew one thing. Jing Jing was still alive. He could hear her through the walls. She was still fighting. She would never stop fighting. And that gave... The Galactic Council met in a giant sphere floating in space. The sphere was made of clear material so everyone could see the stars and colorful space clouds outside. Inside, there were seats for representatives from 247 different alien species. Each species looked different. Some were tall, some were short. Some had fur, some had scales, some looked like living crystals. Today was an emergency meeting. The leader of the council was called the Grand Arbiter. His name was Kelrix. He was a Phosian, which meant his body was made of crystal that shined with rainbow colors. When he spoke, his voice went directly into everyone's mind through special technology. Kelrix called the meeting to order. He announced that Ambassador Hana Kwan from Earth had called this emergency session. Earth was a protected planet. If someone broke the protection rules, it was very serious. Hana walked into the chamber. She wore a simple gray business suit. Most other ambassadors wore fancy robes and jewelry. Hana looked plain next to them. But she had chosen to look this way on purpose. She wanted them to see just a human. Nothing fancy. Nothing special. Just a human who was very angry. 2 human guards walked with her. Master Sergeant Minji Park and Lieutenant Jun-Ho Lee were both in military uniforms. They carried weapons. This made many aliens nervous. Weapons were not usually allowed in the council chamber. Hana began to speak. She told the council what had happened. 8 hours ago, a Vorkath ship had gone to Earth. The ship had stolen 2 Earth citizens. One was a 10-year-old boy named Deho. The other was his companion animal. This broke 3 major laws. It broke the protection of Earth. It broke laws against kidnapping. It was an act of war. The council chamber filled with whispers and strange alien sounds. The Vorkath representatives sat in their seats. They did not move. They looked like giant insects in fancy clothes. The Vorkath ambassador stood up. His name was also Threxus, but he was different from the commander on the ship. This Threxus spoke through a translator device. He said the humans were making too big a deal about this. His people had found 2 untagged specimens. They did not know these specimens came from a protected world. It was an honest mistake. Hana looked at him. She said one word, liar. The whole council gasped. It was very rude to call someone a liar in the council chamber, but Hana did not care. She showed proof. She displayed the Vorkath ship's navigation records. The records showed the ship had flown directly to Earth on purpose. She showed communication records. In these records, the Vorkath crew talked about human specimens and how much money they could get for them. She showed video of the crew talking about Earth's primitive defenses. Then she showed the video of the kidnapping. The whole council watched. They saw the blue beam. They saw a little boy and his animal being pulled from their home into the sky. Some of the council members made sad sounds. Taking children was considered very wrong by most species. But then the video showed what happened on the Vorkath ship. The council watched Jingjing attack. They watched one small animal fight 6 trained soldiers. They watched her tear through armor that was supposed to stop energy weapons. They watched her keep fighting even when hit with stun weapons that should have knocked her out. The council chamber went completely silent. Every species, even ones that usually argued about everything, looked shocked. One of the council members finally spoke. Her name was Mira 7. She was a Tekken, which meant she was actually many small creatures working together as one mind. Mira 7 asked what that creature was. Hana smiled. She told them it was called a honey badger. Its scientific name was Mellivera capensis. It came from Earth. It weighed about 9 kilograms. It lived about 24 years. It ate meat. And its temperament was absolutely fearless. The video kept playing. The council watched the honey badger fight through more guards. They watched it resist a neural dampening field. This field was supposed to shut down any nervous system immediately. The honey badger just kept fighting. Arbiter Kelrix asked if this was a common Earth animal. His crystal body was flickering, which meant he was worried. Hana told him yes. Honey badgers were one of many dangerous animals on Earth, but honey badgers were special. On Earth, people had a saying about them. Honey badger does not care. Because they really did not care. They did not care if something was bigger. They did not care about danger. They just fought. An alien in the back asked another question. Humans kept these creatures as companions? Hana explained that this particular honey badger had been orphaned as a baby. The boy's family had raised her. She had bonded with the boy. This meant she would never stop trying to get back to him. She would go through anything to reach him. The Vorkath ambassador tried to speak. He said the creature was locked in a military-grade cell. It could not escape. Hana looked at him. She asked if he was sure. She showed them real-time data from the Vorkath ship. The containment field holding Jingjing was failing. The honey badger had been testing the field. She was learning its patterns. In about 3 hours, she would find a weak spot and break out. The Vorkath ambassador said this was impossible. No animal was that smart. Hana corrected him. Jingjing was not smart in the way aliens thought of intelligence. She was something more dangerous. She was persistent. Honey badgers had been known to fight animals 5 times their size and win. They had escaped from locked cages over and over, learning new methods each time. One honey badger in South Africa escaped from a zoo 28 times using different tricks. Hana then changed the subject. She said that was just the honey badger. Now she wanted to talk about humans. A new hologram appeared. It showed human evolution. The council leaned forward to look. Hana explained that humans evolved on a death world. This was the council's official classification for extremely dangerous planets. Earth had regular hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes. Earth's predators had teeth as long as human hands. Human ancestors had hunted giant animals to extinction using only persistence and sharp sticks. But more important than that, Hana said, humans bond. Humans form emotional connections that are stronger than their survival instincts. Humans have run into burning buildings to save their pets. Humans have fought bears, sharks, and crocodiles to protect their children or animals. There are many recorded cases of this. She showed a close-up image of Diho from the security video. His terrified face, his tears, the way he reached for Jingjing as they were pulled apart. That child had been bonded to that honey badger for 2 years, Hana explained. To him, she was not just an animal. She was family, and humans were absolutely ruthless when protecting family. Hana gave the Vorkath a choice. Return both of them safely within 4 hours, or Earth would come and take them back, and they really did not want to see what happened when humans got angry. The Vorkath ambassador said this was extortion. This was like robbery. Hana shook her head. No, she said. This was mercy. She was giving them a chance to do this peacefully. Then she showed another file. The whole council gasped. It was a military deployment order. The human fleet, 12 huge carriers, 80 destroyers. All of them were already flying toward Vorkath space at high speed. Kelrix's crystal body made a sound like breaking glass. He asked if humans had faster-than-light warships. Earth was supposed to be primitive. How did they have advanced military ships? Hana explained calmly. Humans had been exploring space for 300 years. Did the council really think humans just sat at home waiting for aliens to contact them? Humans found the mass relay network 50 years ago. These were the pathways that allowed fast space travel. Since then, humans had been quietly watching the galaxy. They had been building their fleet. They had been preparing for first contact on human terms. But Earth was a protected species, someone shouted. They were not supposed to have military technology. Hana's voice became cold as ice. Protected by whom? By the council that just let a child be kidnapped? Humans accepted the protected status as a courtesy. They wanted time to study galactic politics before joining. But that courtesy just ended. She looked directly at the Vorkath ambassador. 4 hours, she said. Return the citizens, or Fleet Admiral Taeyang would come get them personally. And trust me, she added, you do not want to meet him on a battlefield. The Vorkath ambassador looked at Arbiter Kelrix for help. Kelrix was quiet. His crystal body pulsed with many colors as he thought. Finally, he spoke. The council acknowledged that Earth's complaint was legitimate. He ordered the Vorkath to comply with Earth's demands. They had 4 hours to return both citizens to Earth safely. The Vorkath ambassador asked what would happen if they refused. Hana smiled, but there was no kindness in that smile. Then they would learn why Earth never needed protection. The galaxy just never asked the right questions about humans. She walked toward the exit. At the door, she stopped and looked back. She had one more thing to say. That honey badger they captured would break out of containment in about 2 hours. When she did, she would tear through their ship looking for the boy. So even if they refused the demands, they would lose their ship anyway. Someone asked if she was serious. Hana showed them more data. The ship's internal sensors showed that Jing had already damaged 3 walls. She had worn down 2 power nodes on the containment field. Commander Threxus on the ship was reading orders from his brother at the Galactic Council. The orders told him to release the prisoners immediately. Threxus was angry about this. He thought his brother was a coward. But then the alarm started ringing. A guard's voice came through the speaker. Containment breach and holding Section 4. The creature had escaped. Threxus felt his whole body go cold. Section 4 was where they were keeping the honey badger. He asked how this was possible. The neural dampening field should have kept the creature weak. The guard explained that she had dug through the floor. She went under the field where it could not reach her. She dug through 4 meters of durasteel. This metal was supposed to be almost unbreakable. But the honey badger's claws had gone through it. The ship shook. Lights flickered on and off. Another voice shouted that the creature was now in the ventilation system. The air ducts that carried air through the ship. She was inside the walls. Threxus looked at his sensors. He could see a small heat signature moving through the ducts. It moved fast and with purpose. It was not wandering randomly. It was hunting. It knew where it was going. Jing could smell Deho. The ship's air system carried his scent everywhere. She had been tracking his smell since they were separated. She had been learning the ship's layout. She had been waiting for her chance. Now she was free and nothing would stop her. The neural dampening field had been hard to deal with. It made her dizzy and confused. But she found the maintenance access under the cell. It led to the lower deck. Honey badgers are expert diggers. In nature, they dig through ground as hard as concrete. They dig to find food and to escape from predators. Durasteel was harder than concrete, but not harder than a honey badger's determination. She had worked for hours. Her claws scraping, tearing, shredding the metal bit by bit. The cell was soundproof, so the guards heard nothing. By the time the sensors detected the breach, she was already gone. The ventilation ducts were tight spaces. But Jing Jing had squeezed through tighter places when chasing prey on Earth. Each turn brought her closer to Daeho's scent. She moved like a missile with fur. Security teams tried to stop her. They set up barriers in the ducts. She went around them. They pumped sleeping gas into the vents. She held her breath and kept moving. Honey badgers can survive in underground burrows where there is very little air. Their bodies can work with almost no oxygen for a while. One security team tried to physically block a junction point. Jing Jing dropped from the ceiling onto them. The fight was over in 7 seconds. 4 Vorkath guards with full armor fought one 20-pound animal. 3 guards ended up in the medical bay. The 4th ran away. Threxus screamed orders. Seal all bulkheads. The bulkheads were heavy doors that could separate sections of the ship. Lock down the prisoner section. But it was too late. Jing Jing was already there. In his cell, Daeho sat trying to be brave. He could hear alarms. He could hear shouting. He could hear sounds of fighting. And he recognized one sound, Jing Jing's battle sounds. That special snarl chirp growl she made when she was fighting hard. Daeho jumped up and pressed against the clear wall of his cell. He shouted Jing Jing's name. He told her he was here. The response was immediate. A vent cover exploded outward. Metal pieces flew everywhere. And there was Jing Jing. She was covered in alien blood and strange fluids. Her fur was matted and dirty. One of her ears was torn. But her eyes locked onto Daeho with perfect clarity. She was here. She had found him. She made her happy chirping sound. Then she launched herself at the cell wall. The wall was made of quantum-reinforced polymer. According to the manufacturer, it was unbreakable. It could withstand the pressure of deep space. It was tested against plasma weapons. It had never been tested against a honey badger. Jing Jing bit the wall. She clawed at it. She threw her whole body against it over and over. The polymer began to crack. The cracks were tiny, microscopic. The designers never imagined this kind of attack. But each impact made the cracks spread a little more. More security guards arrived. They tried to pull Jing Jing away from the cell. She spun around and drove them back with teeth and claws. Then she returned to attacking the wall. Nothing would stop her. Nothing could stop her. She would get to Daeho or die trying. Threxus ordered them to stun her. The guards fired their electric weapons. Jing Jing was hit. She stumbled. She shook her head. Then she kept attacking the cell wall. They fired again and again. Each shot carried enough electricity to knock out a creature 10 times her size. She took every hit and kept going. Honey badgers have special bodies. They are very resistant to poison and venom. Their nervous systems do not react to electricity the same way most animals do. The stun weapons hurt her. Daeho could see her flinch with each shot. But pain was just another thing to ignore. She had to get to her boy. A guard spoke to Threxus through the radio. "Commander, the human fleet has entered sensor range. They will arrive in 90 minutes. Threxus looked at the screen showing Jing Jing's endless assault on the cell. Then he looked at the tactical display showing 92 human warships coming fast toward his position. Threxus made a decision that might save his ship and his crew. He ordered the guards to open all the cells. He ordered them to prepare the transport shuttle. His officers asked if he was sure. Threxus shouted at them to do it now, before that creature destroys the ship completely. Before the humans blow them all into space dust, the cell wall powered down. It became clear but no longer solid. Jing Jing, who was throwing herself at the wall, tumbled through and landed in a heap on the floor. Daeho dropped to his knees. She scrambled to him immediately. She licked his face. She chirped happily. She checked him all over with her nose to make sure he was not hurt. Daeho hugged her tight. He was crying. He told her he was okay. He told her she found him. Of course she found him. She would always find him. That is what honey badgers do. They never give up, ever. Guards grabbed both of them and rushed them to a shuttle. The shuttle was a small ship used for short trips. They put Daeho and Jing Jing inside. The shuttle launched from the big ship and flew down toward Earth. 20 minutes later, the shuttle landed in an open field outside Seoul. It was the exact same spot where they had been taken. The shuttle doors opened. Daeho and Jing Jing stepped out onto Earth soil. Jing Jing immediately started patrolling around Daeho. She checked the area for threats. She made sure no danger was near her boy. Daeho sat down in the grass. He was still shaking from fear and stress. Above them, they could see the Vorkath cruiser accelerating away. It jumped to faster than light speed. running away before the human fleet arrived. But the Vorkath were too late. The human fleet had already made a decision. Simply returning the prisoners was not enough. The galaxy needed to learn a lesson. Fleet Admiral Taeyang had decided that the Vorkath would pay for what they did. Not with human lives, but with a demonstration of human power. The human ships continued their pursuit. They followed the Vorkath cruiser into deep space. And behind them came more human ships, many more. The Vorkath had hurt a human child. They had kidnapped him and terrorized him. Now they would understand what that meant. On Earth, Daeho's parents came running across the field. They had received a call that their son had been returned. They grabbed Daeho and hugged him tight. They cried with relief and joy. Jingjing sat nearby, watching the family reunion. Her job was done. Her boy was safe. Her boy was home, but far away in space, the real story was just beginning. The story of what happens when you make humanity angry. The story of why Earth never really needed the Galactic Council's protection. Admiral Taeyang was about to teach that lesson to the entire galaxy. Fleet Admiral Byung Taeyang stood on the bridge of his ship. The ship was called the Yun Sol's Pride. It was the flagship of Earth's space fleet. Taeyang watched the Vorkath cruiser running away on his screens. His tactical officer looked at him with a question in his eyes. The officer asked if they should stop chasing the Vorkath ship. The civilians were safe now. Daeho and Jingjing were back on Earth. The mission was complete. They could go home. Taeyang was quiet for a long moment. His face showed many years of military service. He had served 40 years in the Korean Navy before joining the secret space program. He had seen terrible things. He had seen what humans could do to each other in war. But this was different. An alien species had taken a human child, a 10-year-old boy. That could not go unpunished. Taeyang said no. They would not stop. They would send a message. The galaxy needed to understand what happened when you harmed human citizens. He ordered all ships to battle stations. They would pursue the Vorkath all the way to their homeworld. The tactical officer looked worried. Admiral, that is an act of war. The Council will not like it. Taeyang turned to face him. His eyes were hard as steel. The Council stood by while a child was kidnapped, he said. The Council called humans a protected species without asking permission, as if humans were pets. The Council's opinion no longer mattered. The galaxy wanted to see what humanity could do. Now humans would show them. The human fleet moved forward, 92 ships flying in perfect formation. They had trained for many scenarios. First contact with aliens, diplomatic problems, defense of Earth, but they also trained for war, just in case the galaxy was hostile, just in case humans needed to fight. Commander Threxus on the Vorkath cruiser watched his sensors with growing fear. The human ships were getting closer. They were much faster than his ship. And they were not slowing down. They were not stopping. Threxus ordered his crew to open a communication channel to the human fleet. Admiral Taeyang's face appeared on the screen. He was an older human with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much fighting. Taeyang identified himself. He said Commander Threxus was accused of kidnapping, assault, and violations of protected space. He ordered Threxus to surrender his ship for trial. Threxus shouted back. He said they had returned the humans. They had followed the Council's orders. They did what they were told to do. Taeyang's voice became colder. Yes, he said, but only after traumatizing a child. Only after forcing a young boy and his animal to fight for their lives. Following orders after committing a crime did not make the crime go away. Surrender the ship. Threxus refused. He said his people were protected by the Galactic Council. This attack was an act of war. Taeyang agreed. Yes, he said simply. It is an act of war. Surrender your ship or we will take it by force. Threxus closed the communication channel. He turned to his crew with all four eyes blazing with anger. He ordered all power to weapons and shields. They would fight these primitive humans and show them who was superior. It was a terrible mistake. The worst mistake of his life. The Vorkath cruiser was a powerful military ship. It had plasma cannons, particle beam weapons, and missile systems. It had conquered many systems for the Vorkath Dominion. By galactic standards, it was a dangerous vessel. The human ships were something completely different. They had been designed in secret over 3 generations. Humanity had watched the galaxy for 50 years. They studied every war, every battle, every weapon system. They learned from everyone's mistakes. They analyzed tactics and strategies from hundreds of conflicts. Then they built ships designed specifically to hunt and kill. The Soul's Pride fired first. But it did not fire plasma or particle beams. Humans had studied those weapons and found them lacking. Instead, the human ship fired kinetic weapons. Tungsten rods accelerated to nearly the speed of light. Simple metal moving impossibly fast. The Vorkath shields were designed to stop energy weapons. They did nothing against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The tungsten rods hit the cruiser like the hammer of an angry god. The hull buckled and tore. Atmosphere vented into space. Systems failed across the ship. Taeyang watched without emotion as the enemy ship went dark. He ordered his crew to target the engines. Disable them, but do not destroy the ship. He wanted the crew alive for trial. 3 more shots, each one perfectly aimed. The Vorkath cruiser tumbled through space, powerless and broken but intact. The crew was alive but defeated. Taeyang was about to order boarding teams to take control of the ship. But then his sensor officer shouted a warning. Multiple ships were coming out of faster-than-light travel. A Vorkath battle group was arriving. They had come to rescue their ship or get revenge. The sensor officer counted 67 ships. All of them were battle cruiser class or larger. All of them were armed for war. "Sir," the officer said with worry, "we are outnumbered." Taeyang's expression did not change. He corrected his officer calmly. "No," he said, "we are outgunned. That is a different problem." Taeyang opened a channel to all human ships. He told his fleet that the Vorkath wanted to make this a teaching moment. "Good," he said. "Battle formation Delta. Let us show them what humanity learned from 5,000 years of killing each other." The human fleet split into small groups. Each group moved with perfect coordination. It was a tactic borrowed from wolves hunting prey, from orcas hunting whales, from every pack hunter that had ever evolved on Earth. Humans had spent millions of years learning to hunt as groups. The Vorkath fleet advanced in a traditional battle line, all ships in a row presenting maximum firepower forward. It was standard galactic naval doctrine. It had been used successfully for thousands of years across hundreds of wars. It was predictable, and that predictability was its weakness. The human groups attacked from multiple directions at once. Each group focused all their firepower on a single enemy ship. Overwhelming force on isolated targets. The Vorkath ships tried to support each other, but their formation was not designed for this. They were designed for direct battle line combat, not for fighting small fast groups attacking from all angles. One by one, Vorkath ships went dark. Engines disabled. Weapons destroyed. Hulls breached just enough to force the crew to evacuate, but not enough to kill them. Humanity did not want genocide. Humans wanted to send a message. They wanted the galaxy to understand what happened when you touched their children. The battle lasted 43 minutes. When it was over, 67 Vorkath warships floated dead in space. The human fleet had taken minor damage to 3 destroyers. 0 human casualties. Not one human had died. Taeyang opened a broadcast on all frequencies, not just to the Vorkath, but to every ship, station, and relay in range. This message would spread across the entire galaxy within hours. He identified himself and spoke clearly. Today, the Vorkath Dominion learned what happens when you harm human children. We disabled your fleet without killing your crews because we are not monsters. We are not conquerors, but we will absolutely defend our people with all our strength. He paused to let his words sink in. Then he continued speaking to the whole galaxy. Earth is no longer a protected species. We never needed protection. We needed time to watch and learn about the galactic community. We wanted to decide if you were worth joining. Today you failed that test. His voice became harder, colder. But we are not unreasonable. We will join the council as equals. We will trade with you. We will share knowledge. We will work for peace. However, if you touch our people again, what happened here today will seem gentle. We have spent 5,000 years perfecting war. Pray you never see us perfect it further. He closed the broadcast. He ordered his crew to secure the prisoners and document everything. The council would want evidence. His executive officer asked quietly if this would start a bigger war. Taeyang looked at the disabled fleet floating in space. "No," he said. "We just ended a war before it could begin. The galaxy now knows that humanity will respond to aggression with overwhelming force. Most species will choose diplomacy instead of war." He smiled slightly. "Besides," he added, "they just watched us disable their entire fleet while barely getting scratched. The smart ones will realize we could have destroyed them just as easily. Fear is an excellent way to prevent war when used correctly. Across the galaxy, species that had dismissed humans as primitive animals began to reconsider. They began to study human military capabilities. They began to realize that Earth had been watching them for decades, learning from every war, preparing for this moment. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. That was a mistake they would not make again. 3 months passed. The galaxy now called what happened the Vorkath incident. Everyone knew about it. Everyone had seen the videos of the battle. Everyone had heard Admiral Taeyang's message. Now the Galactic Council was meeting again for a very important vote. Ambassador Hana Kwan walked into the council chamber. 2 human guards walked with her. Master Sergeant Minji Park and Lieutenant Junho Lee wore their dress uniforms. They carried weapons. This made many aliens nervous, but nobody said anything. The message was clear. Humans would attend as equals, not as guests. Grand Arbiter Kelrix called the meeting to order. His crystal body pulsed with many colors. He announced that Earth had petitioned for full membership in the Galactic Council. Before voting, he asked if anyone wanted to speak. Silence filled the chamber. The Vorkath delegation was not there. Their government was still dealing with the loss of their fleet and the shame of what they had done. Finally, Counselor Mira 7 spoke. She said the Tekken Collective wanted to grant Earth full membership, but they needed to discuss something first. They needed to address the elephant in the room. Hana raised her eyebrow and asked what elephant. Mira 7 explained that this was a human idiom they had learned. It meant an important topic that everyone was thinking about, but nobody wanted to mention. The topic was human military power. Earth's military capabilities were far beyond what anyone expected from a developing species. The human fleet had destroyed a major Vorkath battle group without any casualties. Human weapons technology was frighteningly advanced. Hana interrupted. She said firmly that every weapon humans used was designed for disabling ships, not destroying them. Humans could have destroyed that entire fleet. They chose not to. That was an important distinction. Mira 7 said that actually made it worse. Having the power to commit genocide but choosing restraint showed incredible discipline. That level of control suggested military experience far beyond their technological level. Hana nodded slowly. She explained that humanity had been at war with itself for all of recorded history. Humans had fought with stones, swords, guns, bombs, and nuclear weapons. Humans had nearly destroyed themselves multiple times. Humans understood violence in ways most species never would. The chamber became uncomfortable. Many species shifted in their seats, but Hana continued. She said that humans also understood peace, because humans had seen what war costs. When humans finally achieved global unity, they promised never to inflict that horror on other species. Human weapons existed to defend, not to conquer. The Vorkath had learned that lesson. Arbiter Kelrix asked about the honey badger, the creature that caused so much damage on the Vorkath ship. Were such animals common on Earth? Hana smiled. Honey badgers were relatively rare, but Earth was full of dangerous animals. Humans had apex predators on every continent. Many humans kept dangerous animals as companions. Not just honey badgers, but wolves, big cats, and even bears. Someone from the upper seats asked why. Why would humans keep dangerous animals? Hana explained simply. Because humans bond. Humans form emotional connections that go beyond species. Humans see something vulnerable and want to help it. Humans protect what they love regardless of the danger. She showed a hologram. It was Daiho and Jingjing back home in Seoul. The boy was laughing. The honey badger was doing tricks for treats. The image was peaceful and domestic. It was hard to connect this image with the videos of Jingjing fighting through armed guards. Hana spoke about what the Vorkath had threatened. A child and his friend. The galaxy saw Jingjing as a monster. Humans saw her as family. That was the fundamental difference. Humans did not measure value by power. Humans measured value by emotional connection. Kelrix's crystal body flickered thoughtfully. He said Earth was unprecedented. Dangerous, yes, but perhaps necessary. The Council had grown complacent over thousands of years. They had forgotten that actions had consequences. He called for a vote. Every delegate had a screen in front of them. The question was simple. Should Earth become a full member of the Galactic Council? The votes came in quickly. 243 votes for Earth, 2 abstentions. 0 votes against. The motion passed. Kelrix announced that Earth was now officially recognized as a full member of the Galactic Council. He welcomed Ambassador Hana. though he suspected the galaxy would never be quite the same again. Hana bowed slightly. She said humans did not want to change the galaxy. They just wanted to be part of it, on their own terms as equals. Later that day, Hana spoke with Admiral Taiyang over a video connection. She congratulated him. They were now official members of the galactic community. Taiyang asked if the show of force had been necessary. Hana said absolutely. The galaxy needed to see that humans would not be pushed around, but they also needed to see restraint. They needed to understand that humans were civilized even when provoked. Hana asked about Daeho. Taeyang smiled. The boy was doing well. His parents had been told about aliens and the galactic community. Daeho had been quiet about his experience. But he had asked one question. Could Jingjing get a medal for her bravery? Taeyang said he was arranging exactly that. Technically, she was now a veteran. Hana laughed. A medal for a honey badger. That would be interesting to explain to other species, Taeyang agreed. It would keep humans unpredictable. He became serious for a moment. This situation could have gone very wrong. If Jingjing had not fought so hard, if the Vorkath had not returned them, things would have been much worse. Hana reminded him that it did work out. Because the Vorkath underestimated both humans and honey badgers. That was the lesson. Never underestimate someone defending what they love. In Seoul, Daeho was going to bed. Jingjing was already curled up on his mattress, snoring softly. She had been extra protective since they came home. She never let Daeho out of her sight. His parents had explained everything. About aliens and spaceships and galactic councils. It was a lot for a 10-year-old boy to understand. But Daeho understood the important parts. Jingjing had fought for him. She had torn through an alien ship to get back to him. And humanity had gone to war to bring him home. He reached down and scratched behind Jingjing's ears. She made a happy chirping sound. One eye opened to check on him. He whispered to her. He told her she was a good girl. The best friend ever. Her eye closed again. She was satisfied that her human was safe. Across the galaxy, species were learning a new saying. Never get between a human and what they love, especially if that love happens to be a honey badger. It joined other human sayings that confused and frightened aliens. The Vorkath government issued a formal apology. They paid huge reparations to Earth. They updated their military training programs. Now there were entire sections about Death World animals and human psychology. The section about honey badgers was very detailed. No Vorkath soldier would ever forget what one small Earth animal had done to their fleet. Other alien species began studying Earth's wildlife. They looked at honey badgers, wolverines, cassowaries, and other dangerous animals. A planet where such creatures existed naturally, where humans lived alongside apex predators. It explained so much about human nature. Trade delegations started arriving on Earth within weeks. They wanted to establish good relations with the newest council member. They brought gifts and proposals. They also brought healthy amounts of caution and respect. The first alien diplomat to meet Daeho and Jingjing was very nervous. They brought guards and medical teams just in case. But Jingjing sensed their fear and behaved perfectly. She even did tricks for them. She rolled over for belly rubs. The diplomat was from a gentle species called the Plenari. They ate only plants and had never hurt anyone. They watched in amazement as this creature that had destroyed a warship now performed tricks for food. The diplomat said they did not understand. How could the same creature be so violent and so gentle? Daeho explained it simply. Jingjing was not violent by nature. She was protective. There was a big difference. She only fought when someone threatened him or threatened her. The rest of the time, she was just a normal honey badger who liked treats and belly rubs. The diplomat repeated the word normal very quietly. They watched Jingjing complete an obstacle course that would challenge most military soldiers. 6 months later, the first joint human-alien research station opened on Mars. The security rules included special provisions. Nobody was allowed to threaten any workers' emotional support animals. This rule was added just to be safe. A year after the incident, human ships were common at trading posts throughout the galaxy. They were always polite. They were always professional. They were always ready to trade fairly and honestly. But every alien who met a human remembered the Vorkath incident. They remembered what happened when someone hurt a human child. They treated humanity accordingly, with respect, with caution, and with understanding that humans were both the most peaceful and the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The galaxy's new rule became official council law within 5 years. It was written clearly in the legal documents. Never get between a human and those they love, especially if one of those they love is a honey badger. It was a rule that no species ever broke again. And in Seoul, a boy and his honey badger grew up together. They played in the yard. They went on adventures.